and I am no longer a member of the Communist Party, but this comes from Lenin. And he put it this way. He says, if that struggle, that national struggle, is hurting imperialism, is aimed basically at imperialism, he said, I would support it. If it's not, it's a struggle that's going nowhere. If they're going to end up in capitalism, they're going to have the same problem. Going to have the same problems all over again. It's not worthwhile. Now, to answer your question specifically, the Basques. We were delighted in Spain when we learned what a liberal, what the newly elected government of Spain of 1936 did with Catalonia, the Basque country, and Galicia. It gave them all kinds of full rights. The first time they could study their own language in their own schools, have their own ministers, that, if you call it a state, have a state government, and so on and so forth. What they were not given the right to do was to secede and from the country of Spain. During the war in Spain, they were outstanding in their struggle against it, as was the Catalonians, as was the Galicians. The war ends. Franco is in power. They conducted a terrific struggle against the Franco government, It was just, not more than any of the other of the anti-Francoists who were all going to jail or being tortured or being killed by Franco for their oppositions, trade unionists, members of any other political party, and just ordinary people who had lived under the Republic and loved the Republic and would make a remark against Franco, and they would be subject to all of these things. As long as this was directed against Franco, it was, in my opinion, a just thing, a positive thing, and I support it. Once the Republic gets its freedom, which happened when Franco dies in '75, and there's a constitutional convention called in '76. And remarkable, it's the first time that I ever heard, it only happened that I know of, somewhat similar in Chile, in that the Constitutional Convention is called, and everybody is asked to make compromises because they want to establish a republic, they want to establish a constitutional monarchy. A constitutional monarchy. There would be no backsliding, they wouldn't allow a republic, and the various factions that were there, and they went from the communists, the Trotskyists, all the way to the fascist party. Can you imagine them all sitting down with their own delegates and pretty much equal numbers of participants, or whatever the numbers were, and they all had to make compromises. And the one big compromise that those who were for the Republic had to make was to agree to a constitutional monarchy with, it was less of a democracy than what the British have, certainly less of a democracy that we have, but no question about it that it was a democracy. Given those circumstances, once that happened, we, the Veterans Lincoln Brigade, and pretty much all the rest of the International Brigade, said we had done our job. The first point in our Constitution was to help the democratic forces of Spain, which we did all through those 40 years. Illegally, legally, whichever way we could, we helped the anti-fascist forces. And once that they had attained their democracy, we said any other further decisions as to where they go has to be a decision of the Spanish people, and we are not going to interfere. We don't have a right to interfere, and we will not take positions on it. Did I answer your question?